Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, this is Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, and this is Joanne, and today we are talking about your design dilemmas, and I've asked a lot of people to send us questions on anything related to design that they might be struggling with, and it's been a very popular episode for us. It seems like it in our analytics, it's always one of the top, so we thought we would do it again. And this episode is sponsored by Helser Brothers Hardware. We're big fans of this custom manufacturer of drapery hardware. It's run by two brothers, Jay and Mark Helser. If you listen to our episode 71, we had Jay as a guest, and you'll be able to find out how they started, all they stand for. They really are an amazing company. They have an outstanding reputation. They've been in business for 24 years. They can customize anything, and then anything over $100 is ship free. So they're to the trade. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and it's at Helser, Helser Brothers.com. So today is a little bit of an interesting day for Kelly and I. I am in our usual podcast studio in the office, and Kelly is recovering at home. So she had some foot surgery, and so she is just hanging out at home, and so she's Skyping in like a guest would. So we're going to go ahead and still do this, but I'm here and she's there, and let's go.
You know what's funny about this is normally when we're together in the studio, we are, cute and we're all dressed like we always are. We're together. Well, now I'm really wondering what people who do podcasts, as their main profession look like during their podcast, because right now I'm totally in my pajamas with my glasses on and my baseball hat, and my foot after surgery is all, up on a stool, and it's just sad. So I'm so happy that none of you can see me right now. But I'm here. So
okay.
We're excited. We love to solve problems, and we've gotten good feedback, and so let's get started. We're going to start with our first person who reached out to us. She is Ming from Woodland Hills, California. And I love her question. I've always liked crown moldings and would like them in my house, but my ceilings are only 7.5 feet high. Would crown moldings only make the ceiling feel lower? And I love this question because this is my personal opinion. I think, Joanne, you really agree with me, is that I don't like a room without a crown molding. To me, it feels like an apartment where the wall just meets the ceiling at a single seam.
Yeah, so, it feels like that seam should be covered. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel, it just feels cheap, I guess, or I don't know. I just don't like it. So we had this situation at my mom's house. She installed a crown molding without asking me, and it was really small. And I understand why she did it, because the ceiling was really low, but it just, to me, I wouldn't have even done that, because to me it looked really, really wimpy. It was like I don't even know, less than 2 inches in depth, and it had no interest whatsoever. So, but to me, the ceiling is the ceiling. Now, if you're concerned with a crown molding taking away 3 or 4 inches of your wall space so that your art is, your art becomes a problem, everything just becomes bigger and higher. So hang your window treatments as high as they can go. Have your art take up really more space than it normally would scale-wise. And think about painting do the crown molding, do a nice finish to the ceiling, but paint it the same color as the walls or the same color as the ceiling, so that you don't get that break. You don't get that
you're not causing attention to that. Yeah, you're
exactly.
Not causing attention to the break.
But it's a nice finish. It's still a nice finish. So I wouldn't be deterred. I personally, I would still do it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah.
Okay, question number
Good
2
question.
comes from Poppy, who is in Chicago. And this is excellent question too, because we struggle with this a little bit. So how much art is too much art in a room when you're filling walls? What are your go-to alternatives to art when you already have a lot of art in one room but still have blank wall space? Well, let me start by saying it's okay to have a little bit of blank space. You don't necessarily have to treat every single wall. Like sometimes there's just a little space on one side. You don't need to squeeze something in there. But when you're doing art, like when we're doing a lot of the models, there's so many walls, so many spaces for art, framed glass, canvas, and then that just gets kind of boring after a while. So what we usually try to do is we try to use some collections. So like, for example, in a kitchen, you could hang breadboards. If you have any other kind of collections that you can either put on shelves, doing some shelving, with a vase and something so that it's just not all, very flat. Get it to be a little more 3D. And that's probably what we're doing. And we would be surprised if you walk around and try to put things together that you could use on a shelf. It makes it a little more interesting than something flat.
And there's lots of options. When I was just working on yesterday, a model actually from home, and you get to a point where you're like, oh, there's so much art in here. And so Piper asked what are kind of our go-tos for alternatives, and I would say mirrors. I would say anything wood. There's so many. I just picked this piece yesterday for a master bedroom that is a slice of a tree that has cool live edges, and it's knotty, and it's just so cool. And then the manufacturer glazed it like this blue-green, and it's going to be beautiful on the wall. We also use some macrame and some woven textiles on the walls. I just selected yesterday from Etsy. This person hand makes. It was a stainless steel metal script kind of sign that says "Inhale, Exhale," and I put that over the potty because I already had obviously a big mirror, and then that had art. It was a small bathroom, so I didn't want two pieces of art. So I think that's really. There's so many things. Just think wall decor versus art.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good answer.
Yep. All right, next we have Tyler from Nashville. Finally got a guy in there. What are the rules about mixing furniture, wood colors, styles in one space? That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm all about mixing. Mix it up all day long. Although I will say, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you have to be kind of careful. It's really more of I would not put, a wood chest maybe that has some burled cherry wood next to a painted straight lined gray
contemporary
table.
Yeah.
So I think as long as the styles are the same, it's really easy to mix them. It makes it more interesting.
It does. It makes for a really eclectic design. I will put a caveat to my answer, though, and say that I was recently at one of our multifamily properties, and I walked in, and somebody else had done the leasing center on the cheap, and I could tell right away that it was a kind of a Wayfair kind of design. And all the legs and arms on all the furniture were totally different, which wouldn't have bothered me at all. Some were kind of dark espresso, some were like a light oak, but they were all cheap looking. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't
spindly, like very thin and spindly.
It just wasn't. It wasn't like one was a beautiful antique piece, and then the piece next to it had, some metal mixed with some wood, and it was all very interesting. It was just flat, cheap, and I don't like that at all. So I think when you're mixing woods, just be tasteful about it, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you don't want them to all match. You don't want it to look like a furniture showroom where, the end tables are exactly the same as the coffee table. Like, you want to mix them up. And I love the mixing of the wood with painted, or even doing a really pretty, like maybe wood-stained console and then doing a painted wood mirror above it. So, yeah, I guess that's a good question. But yeah, mix them up.
Yep. No matchy-matchy in our rule book.
Yes. Okay, this is a good one. This is
I know,
a
they're
question.
all good, aren't they?
Yeah. That came from an interior designer, because we do have a lot of designers that listen to us. But I think this could apply to other creative businesses, her question. So she's Tracy. She's from Richmond, Virginia. Her website is Jersey Girl in the South. And she is on our High Point tour that we may or may not be going to next month in High Point. So her question is this: what would be the most important thing you can do as a newbie to set yourself up for success, and your best advice to someone just starting out in the interior design business? You know, our business is very, very complex. I think people do think that we're just out shopping and picking pretty things, but there's a lot of information that you need to know, that you have to learn as you go along. And so I would say for a newbie, having a website and having a presence on social media is very important. Your website or any social media that you're using should always have really, really great photos. And if you don't have a lot of projects already under your belt, do your house. Like, do vignettes of your house, or, you know, try to take photos that are good quality, because I've seen websites where they'll have maybe 7 projects and they're not professional photographs and they look really bad. I would rather have 1 or 2 really good ones versus a whole thing. So your photography, I think, is really important. Learning, you know, following trades or working in a showroom where you can, you know, shadow other people and see how they're working it. But, you know, none of us have it all figured out. We're learning as we go along, but it's a business where if you make mistakes, it can be very costly. So
we have an episode, Joanna, I don't remember the number at this point, and it's called where we talk about our team
Yes.
behind us.
Yes.
And we talk a lot about, that would be, Tracy, a good one to go back and listen to. It's in the early, you know, in the first 25 episodes that we did, where we really talk about how we set ourselves up for success by surrounding ourselves with people smarter than ourselves. You've probably heard that advice many times, where we have a great accountant and we have a great bookkeeper and we have a great furniture craftsman, we have a great workroom, and we have a great installer, and the people that help us to be successful, because we can only take it so far.
And coming to High Point, you know, for the first time, that's a huge, that's an investment, but that is so smart. You're going to learn so much, and especially coming on a tour with people who have been going for way too many years, and you can learn from them. And then what happens is get into some of the interior design kind of forums. Like, for example, there's the interior design community, and people are always asking questions like, oh, you know, my client likes this chair. Does anybody know where this is from? So we have a very good sharing community, and people are really good about sharing information, because there's just too much out there for someone to try to do it on their own, and attend events and network with people, with other designers.
Yeah, you can't be a success in a bubble. They're absolutely, I mean, just think about it. We've been in business for 15 years, and we're still reaching out to our Facebook, you know, interior design groups and saying, guys, I got this situation, what do I do? Or I have a weird request for a product, where do I go? And, you know, so that's really important.
Yeah.
Yep. Good question, though. And I like the honesty of just saying, you know, I'm a newbie and I want to be a success. Where do I start?
Yeah.
So, but I would go back and find that episode that we did. It was really, really good. It's about building our team. All righty. Question number 5 is Justine from San Francisco. How do I spruce up a rental? What is the best investment furniture pieces when you don't know how long you'll be there? With the economy unstable right now, what is the best way to make the most of your spaces with less? I love this question. Mm-hmm. I think, having rented many spaces before on vacations and whatnot, I think first and foremost, look at your space and think function. Because I don't think that renters care as much about...
I'm not reading that the same way. I'm thinking, Cal. I'm reading it as if she's the person renting her, like an apartment, or like what can she do to make the most of it?
How do I spruce up a rental? So it's her rental. She's sprucing it up for renters.
Oh, gotcha. I thought, okay, I gotcha.
Got it. Yeah. So what I'm saying is think about what your guests will want. Think about the functionality of your space first. Do you have lots of seating? Do you have drink tables? Do you have comfortable beds? You know, that kind of thing is what came to my mind first when I read this question. But in terms of investment in furniture pieces, what would you say, Joanne? I would say comfortable beds first and foremost.
Yes. I wonder what she means when you don't know how long you'll be there. I wonder what she means by that.
I think she means she might not be renting that space for long, so she
doesn't want to invest a lot in it. Yeah, you're right.
Because she might not have that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and things that you could take with you. But I think thinking about the functionality for your guests first, and then making those decisions from there, because whatever you get for your renters that works for you, you can take it with you. So when you leave that place and you're not renting it anymore, you can use it for yourself.
You remember Mermaid Cottages? We have a couple of podcasts on this too, Justine, about taking maybe antiques, which are good quality furniture, having those painted, and you do it kind of in a lacquer paint, so they last really long. They're still really good pieces of furniture. Like if you get something from, you know, I hate to keep slamming Wayfair, but if you get some from Wayfair that's kind of spindly and whatever, at least an antique, you know that it's made really well and will last longer. So I would say you'll probably save more money by doing that and having something painted, because it's really kind of sad. You'll go into some of these antique shops and like some of these big china cabinets and stuff, they can't even sell them for a couple $100.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And we tell everybody about that Atlanta used furniture place.
Okay, yeah. So there's a place in Atlanta. It's called Atlanta Used Furniture. They're very heavy on Instagram. And they kept popping up. And I'm seeing all this mid-century kind of stuff. And my daughter and son-in-law are really into that. They have a mid-century ranch in Charleston. And so my husband and I were down in that area. I was like, let's run into that place. Oh, my God. It's huge, huge, huge. And there are all those mid-century pieces that have those, the low consoles and the really cool chair. Like the stuff that is now really considered, I guess the younger people really like this look. But there's so much of it, and their prices were ridiculous. So great.
I'm so excited for Riley to move out and get her own apartment so we can go there and get the coolest stuff. Yeah. But that's what I would be doing if I had a rental space, is I would be going to places like that, antiques markets, flea markets, whatever, and finding cool pieces, and then A, you don't care what happens to it. B, you put a glass top on it, and what can happen to it? B, you lacquer it and put a bulletproof shield on it, and you have fun, and you have this super eclectic, interior. So, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I hope that helps.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
This next question, I really have to laugh because it's really honest, and no one has ever asked a question like this of me or us ever, but I totally get where she's coming from. This is from Lauren, who's in Alpharetta, Georgia. Okay. She says, how do you deal with PTSD from a remodel gone bad? I had a very bad experience with the renovation of my master bath. I am now wanting to do some renovations to my kitchen, but I'm paralyzed for fear of another problem. What is your suggestion on how to overcome this? I get it. I mean, people have, start out with this great, the contractor comes, everybody's excited, everybody's happy, and he's going to do all this. And then as time goes on, they might not show up, when they're supposed to. They promise they could do something, and then they're going to have to kind of change that. So everything starts to kind of go sour, and it takes longer, and it costs more. And I can understand why because your kitchens and your bathrooms, these are not inexpensive remodels. And so I can understand why you would be, I don't want this to happen again. I want to make sure it's right. And I know sometimes it's really hard to find these people, but getting a referral from someone who recently did something, you really have to go out there and see, check with your friends, talk to people who have done things. And, I don't know, Cal, like we hear this, these things about these contractors all the time.
And it really does stop people from moving forward and continuing with things. And I don't want to toot our horn, but honestly, I think that many times when we do remodels, we are a very strong advocate for our client. We are generally the clients find us first, and then we connect them to a contractor that we have vetted and used for years, that we have a great relationship with. And a lot of times when there's issues, that's kind of part of our project management fee and our design fee. So we're in there when the contractor has a problem, or the contractor didn't show up one day, or the contractor, there's a problem. We're in there advocating for our client to take that headache away from our client. And in addition, we've kind of set up the project knowing so much that we've avoided a ton of pitfalls already just by either making the proper selections or, just good communication, being on site to check on things, that kind of thing. So personally, if I was doing a remodel, I would have, unless I was really good at this by myself, I would always have an interior designer hand in hand with that contractor. And just try again. Just do your research and don't be afraid to do it again. But I know that PTSD is huge when it's been a big expense, and a kitchen that's supposed to take 4 months takes a year, and it's awful.
Yeah, you want to be, like I said, you're so excited in the beginning, and then by the time it's done, you just kind of like the fun kind of just went away.
Well, in this day and age, with the amount of reviews online and people's website, I mean, if a contractor doesn't have a stellar website and I can't find reviews on that, or at least call people, I just won't use them. I just,
Yeah, and it has to be getting a referral from someone who's used them like recently. Like, I know, like in my neighborhood, I live in a really big neighborhood, and every now and then there'll be like this onset of people cutting down trees. And so what'll happen is somebody will talk to their neighbor and they'll be like, how are they? Or they see it firsthand. And then they start asking them. So the next thing you know, this tree company's, doing, 100 homes in the neighborhood. So, so if you have that firsthand information from someone who's used them, I think, you'll be okay. Just go for it.
And one other thing I will say, because we have come in on the heels of clients with great PTSD, and we don't want to be rude to them, but it was so obvious that they got what they paid for, and they cheaped out, and they didn't choose the best contractor for what they were trying to do, and it bit them in the butt in the end. So, just think about that. Yep. I kind of always take if I get 3 quotes, which I'm not one to do that because I just go with referrals, but if I did, I would always take the medium to high price. I would never take the cheapest, ever.
And, your gut feeling, too, about the person. You can kind of tell if you're going to have a good relationship with them or not based on, their personality and the kind of things they say. So. Yeah.
Oh, man. We only have one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Good question from Roberta from St. Louis. Wow, we got people from all over this time. Mm-hmm. Okay. What greenery or faux decor should I put in my outside window boxes in the winter? This is a toughie for me, at least. I know we had a client with a beautiful home here in Atlanta who had out window boxes. Remember Mary?
I forgot about this one. Yes, and I do remember now.
It cost her a bloody fortune. We did all faux, really nice faux florals or something.
And they were kind of high. This was not something you were going to see right at eye level. So if they were a little waxier, a little fake, you couldn't tell it all from the street.
Mm-hmm. And so we did it for her, but I don't know. I personally, if it were me, I would knock them out in the spring and summer, and then in the wintertime, I would maybe do some small boxwoods or some evergreen types to just keep it green, because
that's a good idea.
In the winter, what are you going to have? You're going to have a whole bunch of color in Missouri, and they're going to be going, those are fake. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. I feel like a lot of times if you you can mix. So if you want to, so that you don't make that investment over and over again, put in some small evergreens or some small boxwoods, and then in the spring and summer, plant flowers and vines around them. So they're a little bit more sparse in the winter, but you still have something there. I personally am just not a proponent of the faux. What do you think?
No, not for that. Like faux is good for like succulents because they look kind of waxy and almost fake themselves. But unless something's a really good fake, I just don't think they've come far enough. With that, I loved your idea, Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay,
Roberta.
So here we are down to our funny quote and our inspirational quote. Now, I'm sorry, the funny quote.
It's so you.
It's so me.
Well, it's both of us. It's both of us.
Yeah,
but
it really
it's
is.
Really you.
It's really me. Okay, so here it is. Don't ask me to hang out past 9 p.m. I've got no bra on. I'm in bed. I've already exfoliated. It's too late. Not going.
Yeah. Ask Joanne to go out for dinner at 6, and she will be the life of the party. Yep. That is so funny. Okay, here's your inspirational quote, people, because we all need a little positive right now. Your competition isn't other people. Your competition is your procrastination, your ego, the unhealthy food you're consuming, the knowledge you neglect, the negative behavior you're nurturing, and your lack of creativity. Compete against that. Wow, that's a kick in the butt.
Love it.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Wow, that went fast. That was really fun.
That went really
well,
fast.
now we know that we can do podcasts from home.
Yeah, like we can because a lot of times there's a lot of eye looking or like the hand going speeded up. You're getting too long. So it worked out. So we have a very big announcement to make, which we will be doing in our next episode. So stay tuned for episode number 77. And that will come out on April 1st. And we have something to share with you.
Yes, and we will keep you updated. Watch our social media and so forth. We are really, really, really excited to be insider tour guides for the High Point Market for the upcoming spring show. But to be honest, people, I'm pretty sure it's going to be canceled or postponed. I just can't imagine after the recent announcements from banning travel and such that we'll be going. But we'll keep you updated on that. And we pray for every business and that's affected out there by the slowdown in our economy from the coronavirus. And we just really need to come together as a community and support one another. So
we
thank you for listening, everybody. And this is something you can do at home if you're forced to telecommute. So keep on listening.
Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.